Good morning and welcome. It's such a pleasure to see so many people in person. I'm Shakiba Shayani, CEO at the Guelph Chamber of Commerce, and so pleased to be welcoming you all in person to our 2022 State of the City event. Out of an abundance of caution and to ensure the well-being of our volunteers, staff, all of our guests today, please remember that we're asking you to keep your masks on unless you're eating or drinking. The last several years have presented many challenges for everybody. At the Chamber, we believe that businesses are an essential component of a thriving community. We're focused on ensuring your business can be at its best. We promote and influence the conditions that enable your success, and we strive to exemplify community leadership. What does this look like in action? We create opportunities like today, where we hear from our mayor and get to strengthen our relationships with our peers. We provide cost-saving and other programs to support your businesses, like the rapid test programming that many of you have accessed. Since the launch in May 2021, we've supplied over 900 local businesses over 160,000 rapid tests. This program has been a crucial tool while navigating the pandemic and has helped keep COVID out of the workplace. More details about how your business can access kits can be found on our website. We ensure business is at its best by consistently being engaged in proactive and responsive policy and advocacy. Right now, on your behalf, we're in the midst of organizing our Q&A session with our local provincial candidates in advance of the June election. We ensure that your voice is represented on community well-being issues, such as sustainability, mental health and addictions, and food insecurity. The work that we've done during the pandemic, alongside most of you, highlights the perseverance and resilience that exists within a connected network of innovators, entrepreneurs, not-for-profits, and industry leaders. Is this a shameless plug to the non-members in the room?
Yeah.
Of course. But it's also a celebration of the success made possible by everyone here today. So, speaking of people in the room, I'm pleased to see so many familiar faces this morning, and would like to take a brief moment to recognize a few. Good morning to Guelph's Member of Parliament, Lord Longfield. Our guest of honor, Mayor Cam Guthrie. We've got a few of them, so let's hold applause for that. Good morning, Lloyd. Our guest of honor, Mayor Cam Guthrie. Guelph's Chief of Police, Gord Kobe. Dr. Nicola Mercer, Medical Officer of Health and CEO of Wellington Deaf and Guelph Public Health. Dr. Charlotte Yates, President and Vice Chancellor at the University of Guelph. And of course, Chamber Board members, Michelle McTaggart, Brandy Douglas, Sarah Hanstra, Ray Stoltz, and Scott Barbison. And I'd be remiss to not say good morning and a big thank you to the team and the staff who made this event possible, and even our volunteer Diana from Innovation Guelph for volunteering your time. In addition, I would like to take a few moments to recognize our great partners who continue to contribute to make events like these possible. Thank you to our community sponsors, Benzel Consulting and RLB, to our event sponsors, the University of Guelph, Electra, CN, and RBC for your continued support. And I'd also like to extend a big thank you to our presenting sponsor, Bell, who has shared a quick video that we'd like to play. Please join me in recognizing all of our sponsors for their dedication to the Chamber, the business network, and our community. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Mayor Cam Guthrie. Cam was re-elected Mayor of Guelph for a second term in 2018. He served as a councillor for Ward 4 for a term prior to that. He is currently the chair of Ontario's Big City Mayors, a group of 29 mayors of cities with populations of 100,000 or more, who collectively represent 70% of Ontario's population. Cam was a licensed insurance broker and a local entrepreneur for 16 years before becoming mayor. He has served on the boards of several local not-for-profit organizations and has mentored startups and small business owners through the Business Center of Guelph, Wellington. An accomplished drummer, Cam has been a member of local bands, played on several studio recordings, and produced or co-produced several albums. Cam and his wife Rachel are proud parents to two children, Anakin and Adelaide. Good morning to you both. And please join me in welcoming our mayor, Cam Guthrie.
Gotta remember to turn the mic on. The one thing they said, don't forget to turn the mic on.
There we go.
How are we? Are we good? Yes, we're good. How's everyone?
Great.
Great. Thank you, table one. Settle down, staff. Oh, that's great. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to see everybody in person. I almost wore jogging pants. That is what I almost did. So thank you very, very much. It's also, it was funny when Shakiba said to kind of hold the applause. It's meetings on Zoom and whatnot, they sort of went a little bit faster because there would really be none of that. There'd be like this or like, yeah, that, whatever. Get on to the next speaker, right? So thank you again. I really, really, really appreciate it. I just want to begin with a statement of acknowledgement on behalf of the City of Guelph and on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. So as we are gathered here today, we're reminded that Guelph is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people today. As a city, we have a responsibility for the stewardship of the land in which we both live and work. Today, we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation of the Anishinaabe peoples, on whose traditional territory we are meeting this morning. So before I get into, my remarks, I would like to again thank the title sponsor, Bell. You've been a supporter of this event for many, many years, so thank you very much. And to Shakiba and the entire team at the Chamber, not only for all your work in organizing this event, of course, under your leadership over the past few years, but there's no doubt this has been one of the most challenging times for businesses we've ever experienced. And you were there for our businesses and our community every single step of the way. Whether it was sourcing PPE, making sense of rules and regulations that seem to change almost daily, or helping members apply for government funding programs. Let's give her and the whole team, the board, a big round of applause, please. And thank you to the Delta for the delicious breakfast. It's wonderful again to be having that kind of hospitality in person again. And I'd like to acknowledge some of the members of City Council that have come here this morning. If you could please stand, and then we'll recognize you with a rousing round of applause. Ward 4, Councillor Mike Salisbury. Ward 5, Councillors, I think Kathy Downer and Leanne Caron are here. Yes? Okay, just Kathy. And Ward 6, Councillor Dominique O'Rourke. And Ward 6, Councillor Mark McKinnon. I believe that's everybody. There they are. Let's give them a round of applause for helping themselves. And the executive team from the city, CAO Scott Stewart and Deputy CAOs Colleen Clackbush, Jane Holmes, and Trevor Lee. Thank you sincerely for your leadership, especially over these past few years. Definitely not something that we expected as a city. And so on behalf of council and the entire community, I sincerely appreciate all that you've done. So let's give them a round of applause. And last but not least, my family. I'm going to start with the best, Rachel, and my daughter Adelaide. You are the best too. I just really that. You're all the best. I'll just cover that all off right now. Yeah, Adelaide, my son Anakin. No, he doesn't work for the Delta. Some people already tried to ask him for a glass of water. And my parents, Frank and Karen, are here too. So they have to put up with me. So give them a round of applause. So the past 2 years have been one heck of a ride, eh? There's no doubt. that it's been a tough couple of years, and I wanted them to have a little bit of fun this morning, a little bit of friendly competition. So that's why, as you know from the cards on your tables, when you came in, I wanted to challenge everyone to a game of Wordle, or we'll call it Guelph today if we want to do that. How many people here in the room have played Wordle? Wow, okay. Wish I'd invented that. All right, how many of you play it actually every day? Okay, all right. You're in good company with my wife. All right, well, so I guess we have some experts. We're going to get to the game in a moment, but I hope you've all had a chance to scan that QR code and then complete the word, and that you have your results handy. But first, just a brief comment on why I chose this game and what it has to do with the state of the city. Do you remember at the beginning of the pandemic when everyone started just like baking bread and posting it all over the place? And then all of a sudden flour, you couldn't get flour like anywhere, right? It was very interesting times. Then I started noticing actually some other trends. People were doing recipe exchanges. People started knitting a lot. There was more and more people out on our trails than we've ever seen before. People riding bikes way more everywhere. Later in the pandemic, in October 2021, this is when Wordle came out, and at first people didn't pay too much attention, but by January, it had become this phenomenon, millions of people all over the place playing it every day. So why did the game become so popular so quickly? This is a simple word puzzle. It doesn't have fancy graphics or animation. It doesn't have any bells or whistles. The font and the colors are kind of boring. But it turns out that people like simple. We don't need all the bells and the whistles. And if the past 2 years have taught us anything, it's the joy of those simple pleasures. A bike ride with the family, that well-cooked meal, reading a book, knitting. The pandemic brought unprecedented challenges, and it also brought a new appreciation for the foundation of what's important: our health, our mental health, family and friends, and the ability to connect with other people. And as we move forward in the months and the years to come, we can't forget those lessons. We have to rededicate ourselves to what's really important. We have to focus on the things that really matter. So normally at this event, I'd have, tons of slideshows with lots of pictures and, lots of charts and lots of graphs. But I'm going to hazard that the people in this room are sick and tired of looking at screens all the time. So whether that be Zooms or Microsoft Teams or WebEx or parents' favorite Google Classroom. So this year, I thought that was funny too. So this year, I'm going to break with tradition, and I'm just going to show you a couple of short videos. But other than that, I'm just going to talk. I'm just going to try to keep it really simple. And here's how our Wordle Guelph is going to work. The words were scattered randomly throughout the room. And so I hope you had time to complete them. And you have to remember your results. I'm going to ask the room if anyone got it in one. If you did, I want you to raise your hand. I want you to tell me what the word was. And then I'll spend a few minutes talking about that word and how it relates to the city of Guelph. And then we'll just keep going. Who got it in 2 tries? Who got it in 3 tries? Does that make sense? Everyone with me? Okay, let's begin then. Who got the word in 1 try? Adelaide? Did you cheat? You probably did. Your mother and I will speak to you later. Who got it in 2? Whoa. All right. What was the word?
Homes.
Homes. Okay. Homes. So let's talk about homes. One of the things I wanted to do this morning was take, not just to look back over the last year, because I often do that when I speak to you, but the entire term of this council. Now, some of you may recall my 2019 State of the City address. That was the first of this term. I stood before all of you in this exact spot, and I went off script, And I said that I failed as a mayor when it comes to the issue of homelessness in this city. And I called on the community to join me in ending homelessness. And my goodness, did this community ever respond. My task force on homelessness and community safety identified 3 short and to medium-term priorities. The first was expanding the downtown Welcoming Streets initiative, funding the addiction support worker program, building a supportive recovery room for people to rest and recover from mental health and substance use crisis. Check, check, and check. We got them done. These projects are on the go with the support of incredible community partners who deliver the programs and supports of the funding that came from United Way, the LIN, the City of Guelph, the Guelph Police Services Board, the County of Wellington, the DGBA, and others. And the task force also identified the importance of permanent supportive housing over the medium to long term. As the co-chair of the task force, Dominica McPherson always says, the solution to homelessness is housing. We now have 3 permanent supportive housing projects announced or started by this term of council that will reduce the number of people who are experiencing chronic homelessness by 50%. The projects are the Grace Gardens project, which is that former motel, the Parkview Motel, and it actually received $6.4 million in federal funding to revamp and do new construction there. I'd like to thank Lloyd Longfield and the federal government for that. Yes. We've also got supportive housing units at Wyndham House for youth. And now the Kindle project. That's going to be located in the Willow Road area, the land donated by Skyline and in partnership with Skylight Developments as well. This is truly incredible progress in the last few years. It represents the best of Guelph. When we come together with a common goal, we can make amazing things happen. The United Way and Guelph Community Foundation, in partnership with the 3 project partners, Stepping Stone, Wyndham House, and Kindle, are working together to launch a capital campaign to support these projects. The funds will not only address the capital shortfall to get these projects done, they will also establish an ongoing fund that will enable us to respond to new opportunities. So please watch for that announcement of that campaign when it starts later this spring. Please donate if you can, please. And pass the word, spread the word around about this important initiative. Now, in addition to the important construction or renovation projects, I recently had a conversation about a way we can provide homes for people right away, like literally today. And I was blown away by the conversation. So I went back and I made a video about it, and here is that video for you now.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Dawn Nowini from Stonehenge, and I'm so glad I'm here with you today. This is a real call to action moment for our city, and I know we've been doing really well with council and the community coming together, and the private sector and nonprofit coming together about supportive housing, and that has to do with building new or renovating something that's already there. But there's this gap. There's this gap with people that are ready today and are not waiting for something to be built, not waiting for something to be renovated. They're waiting today for an apartment to rent right now. And that's where you come in. And so I wanted, Dawn, if you could just explain what you are trying to do, what the problem is, and what you think a solution could be.
Well, the problem is that we have folks who need a place to live, and many have had struggles with mental health issues or substance use issues, and so they really benefit from some supports. So we have a supportive housing program where there's case management, there's counseling, occupational therapy, peer support. We partner with other agencies and other stakeholders to ensure that a person has wraparound support so that their tenancy can be successful, right? And they just need a regular apartment. They don't need the high level of support that our wonderful supportive builds are going to bring.
Yeah.
We just need an apartment for them, and we can give that wraparound support. Rent is paid, guaranteed, on time to the landlord direct.
Okay, say that one more time.
Rent is guaranteed to the landlord direct every month. It's a good business deal.
Not only the supports, but the financial supports are there guaranteed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the tenant has support. So really, when you think about it, as a landlord, you know what you're getting with one of our tenants. You're getting your rent on time guaranteed, and you're getting a tenant who has wraparound support, which is more than you would know about any other tenant coming through.
And the problem that you mentioned to me a little while ago was that there are people that are ready for this step in their life. And then when they get the application from the landlord or the property management company, they just maybe don't meet all of the criteria. But that's where you come in to help fulfill that. And yet they're dismissed, they're put to the side, and that's where you can help with these individuals in working with the individuals and the landlord and the property management team to make it happen. How many could you house right now if someone were to come to you?
Seriously, just give me one, but I could house many. Yes, like I have a list of folks who are really in desperate need of a roof over their head, a place to call home, and the supports. And the thing is, while they're unhoused, they're not receiving optimal support, so their challenges are becoming worse, right?
Well, this is the challenge, this is the call to action for our community. If you are a landlord, if you are a property management team, could you please reach out to Don? And there's other stakeholders in the community that can help too, but the best link to get to you is?
Our website, stonehengetc.com.
Please, Guelph, let's find these people a place to live, to give them the dignity that they deserve. We're ready to help. Are you?
Is Dawn here today? Stand
Hey
up.
everybody, I'm here.
There she is. Dawn and your team, thank you so much. Thanks for letting me barge in and say, can I do a video? So we're locking the doors until you get those apartments. That's what's going to happen. So please, there she is right there. Go and speak to her. It's so great. Council has supported, the community has supported the building, the construction of these supportive homes. But we have people today, right now, that you can help. So maybe there's somebody in the room, maybe you know somebody that's a landlord. Like, spread the word that there are people that can be housed today. Speak to them, that would be awesome. All right, who else got it in 2? I saw another hand go up. You got it in 2? What was your word? Grows. Okay. Well done, you got it in 2. All right, well, I can't have a State of the City address without talking about growth. Now, unfortunately, growth is 6 letters, so can't break the Wordle rules, right? So I had to go with grows. The reason I always talk about growth is that it is driving almost everything we do at the municipality. From development planning to water and wastewater infrastructure, to transportation, to waste management, to parks, to recreations, to transit, and so on and so on. Guelph is growing to 208,000 people by 2050. The big question for all growing cities in Ontario, and Guelph is certainly not alone in this, is where are all these people going to live? In Guelph, some of them will be accommodated in the Clare Multi area, which is in the south end of Guelph, and that's currently in the home stretch of the secondary planning process. This is going to be an amazing, vibrant new community in our south end. Some will be accommodated in the Guelph Innovation District, the former correctional facility lands on York Road, or as most people in Guelph call it, the old jail site. Some will live in the Dolime Quarry area. The province has given approval of these lands to become part of Guelph's municipal boundary, and that will now protect Guelph's drinking source, which the city has been concerned about for years because of the potential impact of the quarry operations on our water table. And I'm thrilled that we reached a conclusion on that after many, many years. We know that these new developments will not be enough, though, to accommodate all of the growth of population in our city. So one of the issues that keeps me up at night, and I'm sure many of you as well, and I'm not just saying that, it's not like a line in my speech here, is the cost of housing is at an absolute crisis point in Ontario. Here in Guelph, we're not immune to it. The province just tabled legislation on this yesterday. Now, to their credit, they did hold a number of conversations with municipalities on this issue, and a lot of that feedback was incorporated into the legislation. I attended a housing summit with Premier Ford and the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing on this very issue late last year, and then they also commissioned a task force from the province as well. Now, while I don't agree with everything that's in the task force recommendations, or with everything that's in the legislation, there are a lot of positives, and I think it will make a small difference with housing affordability. It's a start, but we have a long way to go, and we all have a role to play. As a municipality, Guelph has also taken a number of steps internally. We can't just leave this to the province. We can't just leave this to the federal government or to others. We're allowing basement and garden suites now, or tiny homes, to be built when right now we have about 10% of all units are that in our city. Getting a fully online building permit application portal is going to be coming up and running. And a building permit checklist for new builds in existing built-up areas of the city that will make things faster and a lot easier for people. Our city has been now awarded $1.75 million in provincial funding to streamline our development approvals process. We're going to use this, and we're going to do it through a lens of lean. As many of you have heard what a lean exercise is. And so we're going to be using that. We're going to find more efficiencies, and we're going to make our timelines better. And we'll be working with key stakeholders, including the Guelph and District Home Builders Association, nonprofit groups like Habitat for Humanity as an example, that also builds in our city. We're going to deal with this, and we're going to get it done, and we're going to make it better. I believe it's very important that we do have self-reflection for moments at the City of Guelph. So we are going to take a good, hard look at what can we do ourselves as a municipality to improve supply and improve affordability. Now, the province has framed this mostly as just a supply issue. I question that a little bit, but certainly supply is a factor. That can't be ignored, but it's just not the only one. For example, I want to tell you that I do wish that the province included some reform to the land tribunals as part of their new legislation. And I mentioned this as the Ontario Big City Mayor's Chair yesterday. The land tribunal, it costs municipalities hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And it can actually hold up the housing that we need to get built as well, sometimes for years. So we know that these housing units, also in our city, that there are some housing units that have been approved, but actually not built yet. And that happens across Ontario. In fact, one of the stats is that there's close to 500,000 units in our province that have been approved to be built, but they're just not being built yet. So as a city, we need to find, work with developers, find out from developers what it is to get some shovels in the ground on some projects that have actually already been approved, but just not built yet. So, but the reality is we can't simply go on with home prices like this the way they are. I'm looking at my own kids right here. I'm getting off script. Here we go. First time I'm off script. Okay. Thank you. Rachel and I, we bought our first home. You were 19? Yeah? And I was 37? No, I'm sorry. Do you like it when I go off script? Yeah. I was like 23, 22, 23. And we bought our first home on Victoria Road. It was 125, I think it was. And I remember I had to sell my drum set, my baseball cards. It's true. I sold a bunch of stuff on eBay, but we came up with that like $9,000 down payment. We scrounged that $9,000 down payment together to make it happen. And now I'm looking at my son, Anakin, 19. Adelaide's about to turn 18. There's absolutely no way they can afford a house. So you think I'm concerned about this because I'm the mayor and I'm standing up in front of you? No, I'm concerned about this because I'm a dad. I don't want my kids living in the basement. Pretty much. I'm sure my kids love that I went off script there. Anyways, we have a problem. We have a problem, and we got to fix it, and we can do that together. All right, who else got a word in 2?
Right here.
Okay, at the back, yes.
Trust.
Sorry?
Trust.
Trust. Okay. So, I want to talk about community safety. Now, unfortunately, safety is also 6 letters. So, then I thought about the word trust, which has 5 letters, and it's a close link to that sense of safety and that sense of trust. And incidentally, trust is the 3rd word in the Guelph Police Service's motto: pride, service, and trust. In the 2018 election, community safety was an important priority. It came up on almost every day that when I knocked on doors, and I know several councillors experienced, and candidates experienced the same thing. I'm proud to say this is an area where we have made major progress this term of council. In 2020, I stood on this stage and gave you data that made the case for significant investment in Guelph Police Service. The data said the crime rate was going up, the number of officers per 100,000 population was going down, and police overtime costs were at historic highs. These numbers were at the heart of a business case that was made for 30 new employees at the Guelph Police Services. Today, I'm now pleased to share some new data of the results of that investment. Total crime decreased for the 2nd year in a row in 2020, going down 11% since 2019. Our crime severity index numbers are now trending in the right direction, with a 12% drop since 2020. Priority 1 response times have improved, and 2021 saw the fastest response times in 5 years. The Guelph Police Services have now created permanent units, a downtown resource officer that has 4 officers who provide 24/7 coverage, as well as a dedicated officer who will become a familiar face to build relationships within our downtown core. And now there's what's called the BEAT team, break and enter and auto theft. That team was made permanent in January after a pilot project demonstrated its values. In the first 20 days, here are just some of the results. First 20 days, 20 arrests, 83 charges laid, more than $70,000 in stolen property recovered, 5 stolen vehicle cases solved, and 4 break and enter cases solved. Not bad for 20 days of work. I want to thank Chief Gord Kobe for his leadership. And the entire senior leadership team from GPS. And I really want to thank all the frontline officers. Throughout the pandemic, police officers continued to be in our community, serving our community wherever they were needed. I'm grateful to all first responders, by the way, not just police, for their service throughout this pandemic. Now, I want to touch on another area where council has made significant progress this term, and that's on the area of road safety. This is a major factor in overall community safety and security. Council just approved the city's transportation master plan. That plan adopts a Vision Zero approach to road design and operations, an approach based on the philosophy that no loss of life on our roads is acceptable. But it's not just about safety for drivers. It's about other ways that we move around the city too. Walking, cycling, riding transit, riding on trains, and so on. The plan includes a pedestrian priority network, and we need to start building sidewalks on now both sides of streets. The plan also includes a cycling spine network. We need to build more protected cycling infrastructure, and that's going to come as well. Actually, I think we got some money from the feds towards separated bicycle lanes. So thank you, Lord, for that too. The Delta also needs new speakers, so if you could get a grant for that. I love being in person. Last summer, council approved a number of safety measures. We reduced speeds by 10 kilometers an hour in almost 50 neighborhoods and throughout most of the downtown. Some bigger roads went from 60 to 50, and some residential streets, actually all residential streets will now go from 50 to 40. We're introducing photo radar with equipment that will rotate through school zones and other key areas. Red light cameras have been installed in 6 spots across our community already. Last summer, you may have noticed some bollards and pedestrian crossing signs now that are new across the city, and some narrowing of some roads. They come down in the fall, though, some of those speed bumps and bollards, and then they go back up in the spring. But just like policing, the road safety, it's important because the data and the stats are on our side. These things work, and it's about being bringing safety to our community. I talked to actually a lot of school groups. You wouldn't begin to understand just how many of the students, they want that sense of feeling safe, especially when they're riding their bikes or even walking to school. You wouldn't believe how many of them say to me, I would bike to school if I just had a protected bike lane to do it. And guess what? When people feel safe on those sidewalks and on their bikes, then they're out more, and then they become the neighbors that say hi to each other as they're coming up and down their streets. We get to know each other, and we build an even stronger sense of trust and safety in our community, and that is a positive move forward. All right, did anyone else get 1 and 2? Yes? Jaya? Cares. All right. Boy, you guys, we should have a picture up here of everyone who got it in 2. All right, our next word is cares, because guess what? We are a community that cares. And a great example of that fundraising campaign is the fundraising campaign from the Guelph General Hospital, which happens to be called Together We Care. The campaign recently wrapped up, and I have a short video to share with you about that.
At Guelph General Hospital, our #1 priority is providing the safest and highest quality of care to our patients and their families. We are recognized as one of the safest hospitals in Canada, as we were awarded the highest standing of exemplary by Accreditation Canada. We are also one of the best run hospitals in Ontario, yet we know we can do even better. When we started planning the Together We Care campaign, we challenged the hospital to think big, as if the sky was the limit, as if anything were possible.
We expand the emergency department to reduce wait times and improve the care and experience of patients with emergency medical needs. And we create specialized spaces for patients with mental health or addiction concerns.
We'd expand and modernize the special care nursery. We design and build space to allow families to stay together alongside their vulnerable newborn. We'd also make sure that all caregivers were working with the newest and most advanced patient care equipment and technology, because that's what they need to more quickly and accurately diagnose illness and injury, to provide exceptional care and return patients back home to their families sooner. Every piece of equipment used to care for patients at Guelph General Hospital is funded through the support of our caring community. Construction costs also require some contribution from the community before the government will approve significant build projects.
Here's the thing. When we all come together to do our part, anything is possible.
I am so proud to be part of this incredibly generous community, along with you. I am so thrilled to help deliver this incredible news that you helped make happen. We determined it would take $34 million from our community to reach the sky. That's a lot to ask for, and I've had 31 years to get to know the generosity of this community. When we set that target, I felt deep in my heart that you cared and that you would help. Together,
You and our generous community
raised $37,496,057. Because of you, we will save lives and improve health together with our community. Thank you.
Yes, clap for that. I'm putting you on the spot, Suzanne. Suzanne, stand. Please stand, and don't clap yet. Stand, I'm going to embarrass you. She just announced her retirement. What a way to go out, eh? Hey, thank you for your leadership so much. I mean, the whole team, of course. Marianne at the helm there at the hospital, but raising those funds, because we all hear about the hospital all the time, especially me. So please, round of applause for her. building there and expanding, especially the expansion of our emergency department by 60%. That will mean shorter wait times, better space for mental health care, addiction patients, and to start to end hallway medicine. They're going to fund all kinds of equipment and care for patients. And a lot of people don't know that the provincial government does not fund equipment. Isn't that interesting? Every piece of equipment used in patient care in our hospital is funded by donors. So congratulations again to everybody. And I was told it was 10,000 people that donated in our community. Did you hear the last number there, Marion said? 37 million, blah, 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 and $57. That means some people literally gave like a couple bucks here or there. Like, it's every single dollar that really made that a success. The successful campaign then on this means that the hospital can move forward with those immediate needs. But here comes Mayor Cam with some vision for you. When I look at the city's growth targets for the next 10 to 20 years, it is absolutely clear to me we are going to need a new hospital, a larger new hospital. Our current hospital simply does not have the space, the capacity, or the layout to accommodate the thousands of families who are coming to Guelph. Parts of the hospital are more than 70 years old. The hospital has started, proud to announce this today, the hospital has started the Provincial Ministry of Health's master planning process. This involves exploring many options, including building new on the current Delhi site or building a new hospital on a completely new site. In an ideal situation, this build could happen and be completed within 10 years. I've been told it's on the radar at the Ministry of Health. They're aware of the need of the hospital, and they're working hard to try to move things along. Now, I know you've heard me probably say over and over again, hospitals are provincial jurisdiction. They're not a municipal jurisdiction. But the fact is that the provincial government only funds 90% of hospital construction. The remaining 10% comes from the community. So please listen to me now. 10% of a brand spanking new, larger hospital is a lot of money. And that's why I've been talking about this for years. We must start working towards it now. And that may involve conversations around the council horseshoe about continuing the dedicated hospital levy. It may involve even more fundraising campaigns. Do I believe this community will step up and rally around a new hospital? Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind, because this is a community that cares. This is a community that has raised tens of thousands of dollars just recently for the people of Ukraine, and where I get daily calls for people wanting to open their homes to refugees. It's a community where, when we put the call out looking to host COVID vaccination clinics, the University of Guelph and Linamar immediately opened their doors for us. It's a community that's opening youth mental health and wellness hubs called The Grove, where youth can drop in and access services they need. I recently toured The Grove Hub, one of them, at the University of Guelph with that partnership there. And there will be hubs at the Y, at Shelldale, and at the new building on Woolwich. This is a community that can accomplish great things when we put our minds to it. We are a caring community. And I'm so proud to be your mayor. I've talked to other mayors in other cities where I can tell you, Guelph is the envy. When it comes to this type of stuff, we really know how to pull together and care as a community. All right, did anyone else get it? A word in two. Okay, who got one in three? Is that, yes, go ahead. Yep. Learn.
Sorry, learn now. L-E-A-R-N.
Learn. Okay, yes, can't put the S on there. I chose the word learn to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our journey to eliminate systemic racism is a journey of learning. Sometimes that learning comes in big moments that were felt around the world with the murder of George Floyd, the discovery of graves of children on residential school sites. Sometimes it comes in very small and individual moments. The first time you use that elevator at the downtown library and actually think about what it would be like if you were in a wheelchair, what would it be like You can barely squeeze in that elevator. You can't even turn around, it's so tiny. For me, one of the moments came when I saw a post on Facebook from a mom whose 13-year-old son was, I think I'm just going to keep going. I don't know what that was.
The Delta's gone backwards.
Okay. So we need speakers and a new sign. Okay. Just gonna make a list there.
Over to you, Lloyd.
All right. What am I talking about again? learn to roll with it. Learn to roll with it is what I'm doing. For me, one of those moments came when I saw a post on Facebook from a mom whose 13-year-old son was getting bullied. I reached out to the mom and her son, and I actually ended up going over to their house and going for a walk. I was bullied quite a bit as a teenager, and it's not okay, and it's not a place in our community. Although sometimes on Facebook I find I'm bullied like every hour. As a city, we know we have to listen closely to stories, to struggles, and to the pain of those that have experienced oppression. We know we have to unlearn the systems that are not equitable. And we have to relearn from those in the community that possess the knowledge and expertise and lived experience to change those types of systems. Together with the community, we've added a new section to our community plan called We Are Community, and we are committed not just to working towards equity, but to eliminating systemic racism and discrimination in all of its forms. I'm pleased that the city now has a senior advisor for equity, anti-racism, and Indigenous initiatives, Sarah Syed. We've also just welcomed an intergovernmental advisor specializing in Indigenous relations, Trevor Bomberry, and we're currently recruiting now for an equity, diversity, inclusion specialist. Sarah is here today. I'm putting you on the spot. Welcome, Sarah, to our team at the City of Guelph. Stand up. Stand up. We know we can't learn and unlearn and relearn everything overnight, but we are committed to this work because we know it goes to the heart of what it means to be a community, a place where everyone feels that sense of belonging. All right, we got another word in 3. Anyone get it in 3? Oh, well done, you at the back of the room. Who got it in 4? Anybody get it in 4? Yes?
Buses.
Buses. All right. In 2020, I stood on this stage right in this exact spot, and I proposed free transit for those 18 and under in our city. I actually had a council motion ready to go. I had groups, delegations, correspondence. I had already talked to council about it to advocate for this program. And I was planning to bring that motion to the committee meeting at the beginning of April 2020. My motion never made it to that meeting because the city had much other pressing issues at that time, called a state of emergency, shutting down the first time of our council meetings, and transit ridership plummeted overnight. But that idea did not go away. It just had to wait a bit, and approved as a pilot project by council for 2022 is a modified version of the original proposal that I was going to bring forward a couple of years ago. Or as I see it, it's a first step in moving towards free transit for those 18 and under. We are now providing free transit for those 12 and under. And I made a little bit of a little video about this for you. I'll show that to you now.
Hey Guelph, Mayor Cam Guthrie here. I'm here with my friend Jess from Guelph Transit. And we have something super exciting to announce for the community. We now have free transit for children 12 and under. It's a pilot project for 1 year. And we just wanted to tell you how easy it is for you to be able to get your card if you're 12 and under so you can enjoy transit for free across our community. And we have a family that's actually joined us today with a couple kids that are in the exact age that is going to be getting their free card. Now Jess is here to tell us how you can get your card for that free pass.
So there's 3 easy ways to get a new fare card. Children 4 and under do not need a fare card. They'll continue to ride for free. The underway fare card is $5, but after that you can continue to ride for the pilot program select retailer and go home and fill out that form to register the card. Or you can visit Service Squall and they can register the card and give it to you right away. You don't need to bring your child with you to Service Squall. You just need their valid ID. All the information is on guelphtransit.ca.
We want to get children on buses earlier in life. We want to help with families that are trying to save some money and not always having to jump in the car. And getting that free transit pass, I think, will encourage not only you and your family, but you can tell others about this wonderful opportunity this year. We hope you take us up on it.
Isn't that a great program? Thank you to council for supporting that. We also have a new affordable bus pass with a sliding scale based on need. We have on-demand transit service that's very easy to use. If you have not used it, use it. Please share on-demand service. We're getting 4 new electric buses this summer, and this will help us meet the council-approved goal of using 100% renewable energy for city operations by 2050. We are currently actually sitting at 25.5% of that for 100% renewable. As we transition our transit to electric, that will have a major impact on greenhouse gas emission reduction and help with climate change in our community. In our last budget, council funded millions in new investment for transit. This includes moving to a grid structure instead of the central hub system. No more going downtown to change buses all the time. It includes better service on major corridors, more express routes, and better Sunday service. And I believe these changes will help us win back the ridership that we've lost during the pandemic. And I think it's going to win us brand new customers as well. And I truly believe that these changes will give our city that modern transit system that we need. We've been talking about it for years, but this council got it done. All right, who else got it in, what am I on, 3 or 4? I'm at 4, I think. Who else got a word in 4? Okay, I love the honesty in the room. You got, yes? What was it, sorry? Costs. Everyone's favorite word, costs. Who's been to a gas station lately? Who's been to a grocery store? Has anyone tried to build a deck last year or priced one out for this year? We all know costs are rising, but we have never seen costs rise like this. The city is seeing it in major capital projects too. In fact, all cities are facing this issue. As was said, I'm the chair of the Ontario Big City Mayors Caucus. We talk about this issue a lot as the mayors across the province. So I want to talk to you about the South End Community Centre. A few weeks ago, we learned that the lowest bid to build this project came in 50% more than budgeted. The bid was $121 million, and we only budgeted $80. I know this is disappointing, very disappointing to me, especially to the residents of the south end of Guelph who have been waiting a very long time. Can you imagine how councillors O'Rourke or McKinnon feel? That's their ward that they represent. The first thing I just really want to say in regards to this issue is don't panic. I know that's coming from a fiscally conservative mayor. Don't panic. The process is working exactly as it was supposed to. When staff received the bids, everything stopped. The tender has not been awarded, and no dollars has been spent. No shovels are in the ground. The same thing recently happened when bids on the Speedville bridge replacement came in over budget. Staff paused the project. I'm going to say it out loud because I know you're thinking it. The same thing could happen on the Baker Street Library if it comes in over budget. We will have to pause and consider our next steps. Council will be discussing capital costs on Monday at our Committee of the Whole meeting. The staff report's public, and you can read it on guelph.ca. We're being transparent about this, and we're going to have to be transparent about the discussion on how we're going to deal with it. But I want to address all the people that email me or hit me up on social media in some way to say we need to cancel the Baker Street redevelopment, which includes that library on that site. Listen to me very clearly. There would be significant financial implications of pulling the plug on projects that have advanced this far. And this includes reputational risks, which I will not subject our city to when partnering with the private sector on projects. There are contractual agreements that have been signed, land issues that have been resolved. There are deposits and contracts for infrastructure and utility requirements all done. There has been millions spent on investments in detailed design and work and consulting fees. There's already ongoing site preparation. The Baker Street parking lot has been closed now for archaeological work, and the downtown businesses have been dealing with that disruption already, and they're already planning to wade through construction for the next few years. Now I want to address people that are emailing and hitting me up on social media about the South End Rec Center. We have collected development charges for that South End Rec Center for many, many years. The business case has been developed. We need new ice pads, we need a pool, and we need a community center, and that has been clear and demonstrated for years, even decades. You do not throw out your plans entirely with a knee-jerk reaction when you have investments, especially investments with private sector relationships when you have a bump in the road. That's not the way you would do business. That's not the way the city does business, and I'm not going to do business like that either. We all need to take a breath, and we need to trust our city staff. There are off-ramps and decision points along the way on these projects so that council and the executive team can weigh those options. We can manage the risk and the finances, and we can decide a path forward on such important community building projects such as these within our city. Okay, who else got 1 and 4? Anybody? Who got them in 5? Yes?
Mine was already taken.
Thanks for putting up your hand. Yours was already taken. John, I love you. Okay. Even though you're a Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan, I still love you. It's okay. Let's see. Anyone else in 5? 6. Who got it in the final one on 6? Anybody? All right. Well, I'm going to go to 1 then. No one got COVID? Rachel did? No, she doesn't have COVID, by the way. No one got COVID. I did. No.
It wasn't found in the
All right, no problem. So I want to take a moment while we're gathered for the first time in a long time to recognize the extraordinary leadership of our Wellington Dufferin Guelph Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Nicole Mercer. Dr. Mercer's brave, bold, and steady leadership was a blessing to this community during one of the most difficult times we've ever experienced. She was the first medical officer of health in Canada to mandate wearing masks, and then many others followed. It soon became that given that masks were one of the simplest, easiest, and most effective public health tools that we could use. But I know firsthand she has taken so much criticism in the city, especially in the early days of the pandemic. She took some criticism even when she decided to close some schools in our public health unit in April 2021. I can only imagine how difficult that decision was. But Dr. Mercer made these decisions, as always, with utmost integrity, guided by the data and the science and absolute dedication to the health and well-being of our community. She was also the public face of the pandemic in our city. She kept the community updated through media and was a frequent guest on Finding the Balance webinars that were viewed by thousands of people in Guelph and around the world. She was calm, compassionate, and she was just a strong presence within our city. And she provided facts all along the way that we could all understand as well. She did all of this while mobilizing the biggest vaccination efforts in our city's history, an effort that saw Guelph's vaccination rate exceed that not only province-wide, but actually close to North America. And she did it while being blamed for everything, from whether it was the Premier's latest announcement or the fact that we couldn't get haircuts. I think she sent all those calls to me. This is leadership, and I'll tell you one thing, I've always been grateful for that. In one of the most challenging chapters in our history, Guelph had Dr. Mercer in our corner. At this time, I'd like to invite Dr. Mercer up to the stage to accept a gift. This is a print from Guelph artist Barbara Salzberg Matthews, and I'll read what it says on the plaque. Presented to Dr. Mercer for Mayor Cam Guthrie in recognition of outstanding leadership throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Please join me in thanking her so much for her leadership.
Thank you. A little choked up.
Unfortunately, you don't have a mic,
Yeah.
but,
I don't know if this works.
oh,
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I can take my mask off just for a few minutes. Not expected and very, very grateful. I was saying to Charlotte that a few years ago, it said, put your hand up if you want.
it could be me. It's always the mayor's fault.
I would never put my hand up for this ride. And I have been incredibly proud to lead this public health unit. I take this not on my behalf, but I have an amazing team of people. You just cannot express how many hours have been put in on the team of people that I lead, the nurses, and the community that has come together. Linda Haskins, I don't know if you're in the room, the University of Guelph, people that have never been in the health business, got in the health business. We are not at the end. I don't always want to be bearer of bad news, but I do know that we've done all the right things and we will get through this. It has been a journey. It has been a privilege to be at MOH, and I cannot thank you as a community enough. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The picture is along the river. I think it's along Royal City Park. I tried to pick the most calming thing you could look and stare at in your office for the next little while. All right, I want to make sure I've gone through every single one of the things that I have here, which I believe I have done so. Yes. So someone just say, aw, thank you. That's great. Look, I know at the beginning of my remarks, I talked about keeping things simple and getting back to basics. Then I proceeded to talk for 45 minutes about dozens of things that the city of Guelph has done. Believe me, that irony is not lost on me at all. We are coming up on another election, and the next council will have the challenge of setting a path for the new term, including a new strategic plan that is affordable for the city. As that happens, it's important to remember lessons of the pandemic. We need to get back to basics. We need to get our fundamentals right. Of all the things I've talked about this morning, I think all of them do reflect that. They are the foundations of the important things, and we need to do them well. But there was another important lesson from this pandemic. And to illustrate that, I want to do one more Wordle, but I want to do it together. So, Kate is from my office, and she's helped me so much here. Let's give Kate a round of applause as she tries to. Speaking of from my office, everyone needs to meet Sandra. Where are you, Sandra? Sandra's my new EA. Thank you. I tell everyone I work for her. Okay, we figured that the Delta needs new speakers, a new sign, and Wi-Fi. Okay, good. Thank you very much. All right. Let's try to do it together without it going up on the screen then. I'm rolling with it here. 5-letter word that means together.
Unity.
Who said unity? Dominique. All right. Yes. Well done. Unity. That was going to be the fun wordle that we just did. Wasn't it fun, everybody? Just close your eyes, take that in. Someone says a different word, and here we are. Oh. Unity. There's nothing we can't accomplish when we're united. We see it in every single aspect of our lives. Healthcare, housing, mental health, transportation, safety, economic growth, and investment. And so that's my call to action today. Whatever we do, let's do it in a spirit of unity. And that means council. That means the community, city staff, and yes, it means me too. Thank you very, very much for being here today. I'm happy to take a few questions. Are there any questions? Yes.
You talked about growth and housing and healthcare and the prospect of opening up a second hospital. All this is wonderful, but what do we have in the way of taking into account the other things they're going to need, as in the increase in energy costs as we go forward? More people we have, the electricity bills are going to get higher. Are we looking at alternatives for that in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, so thank you for that question. The question was about, as we continue to grow as a population, what about our energy costs? And what's that going to take as our population grows to 2050? So we don't only have goals from the city of Guelph when it comes to renewable energy or net zero that are from the corporation side, so only the things that the city of Guelph handles as a corporation, but we have the community-wide net zero goals as well. And so what we have is we have some good stakeholders in the community. One of them that was set up a couple of years ago is called Our Energy Guelph, and we're going to be looking at using them to do more of the community outreach as we do the things that we need to do inside of the corporation of the assets that we own. The other thing too, as I'll just quickly talk about this, is we have a program that was just passed by council maybe 2 months ago, tops, and it's called the PACE program, and just high level on that is it's looking to give people in the community, residential, multi-res people that have homes and whatnot, an opportunity to actually tap into some funds that can help them retrofit their homes with solar panels or better insulation, upgraded windows, things like that to make their homes a lot more energy efficient. And then it will be a program that's tagged that onto your property taxes. So it actually gets paid back over many years, up to 25 years, through your property taxes. If you then were to sell your home, and let's say you only had 10 years left or whatever, then obviously the new buyer would be aware of that, and it would be a little bit more on their property taxes because they're paying that off. But you would reap the benefits of lower energy costs as you move forward. Last night at council, we also talked about what can we do in partnering with the development community as new builds are being done as well. So I just talked about retrofitting existing stock, but what can we do when we have new builds come forward as well to try to make those developments also respecting energy costs, climate change, and things like that. So hope that gives you a little bit of insight into some things. Yes?
Well, hello. This was great. And you did speak about, probably should stand up, regarding unity. And I love hearing that. What steps are we taking as a city to kind of bring those communities together? In the past, there's been some news in terms of situations that have happened with individuals, with some of our members, restaurants. There's got to be a better way. Are we doing something like, do we have some type of policy that's coming into play to bring those communities back in together?
Yeah, thanks, Ray. That's a great question. I would immediately point to our community plan. I talked a little bit about that high level within my speech today, but the community plan a few years ago was a great plan, and it was a couple of years of work in engaging with the community to come to where that community plan was going to move forward for us. And then some things happened a couple of years ago that opened all of our eyes that there were gaps within that community plan, and we needed to revisit it. So part of the re-engagement of that, actually along with Sarah Sayad and others, we actually engaged many more members in the community, such as you just described, to try to give input into that revised community plan that we have. Now, I will say the last couple of years, from a unity perspective of trying to get together in person, has also been quite difficult. So I'm really looking forward to those opportunities more than just Zoom meetings. I mean, we miss that unity part when we're not actually together. So there's going to be a lot more things moving forward. In fact, updates to our community plan that really do talk a lot about BIPOC issues, the Indigenous relations issues that we're dealing with as well. All of those things are going to be coming to council to be approved. So we're going to have open dialogue with the community about that, and we're going to be accountable to the things that are going in these plans and these policies as well, so that they can be tracked. And we're doing sort of baseline data right now. I think there's going to be like a survey done, a professional survey done across the community about services and how we're doing. And those kind of baseline data will help us do them again maybe a year later or maybe another year later, where we can compare and compare and compare. Lastly, I would just say I'm eyeballing the president of the University of Guelph. I'm eyeballing Shakiba as the president. It's all these other stakeholders and organizations and all of us individually that has to do it together. The city cannot do it alone. And so we are always looking for people to come up with ideas where we can partner with them to further those issues within the city for sure. I want to respect time. One more, so it better be the best question. Yes, go for it.
What kind of development does the city want to see for the Guelph Innovation District?
What kind of development does Guelph want to see for the Guelph Innovation District? So what happens is, and we talked about this at council last night, there's always in cities what's called an official plan. That's kind of the large umbrella over the entire city that kind of lays out how things are going to be. Then within that plan, there's more focused plans, or what's called secondary plans. And the GID, the Guelph Innovation District, actually already has an approved secondary plan for what's going to happen there. Now, you'll probably know a few months ago at the corner of Stone Road and Victoria, where the old Grass Institute was from the University of Guelph, all those lands there, about 245 acres, were already sold, and actually to a local developer, which I'm really excited about because that's good community connection there. The other side of that, though, closer to where the jail entrance is and whatnot, that is still owned by the province and it's still not disposed of yet, but it's coming very soon, I've been told. So when that comes up for sale, whoever gets it, then there's already a plan. They already know that plan that's laid out. It will be it will be residents, it will be jobs, there'll be a lot of green space that cannot be, a lot of natural heritage on there that cannot be built on. And then actually, the last thing I would say about that is, because it's such beautiful land there, like the whole community, I'm sure many of you have walked out there, right? It's so beautiful. At one of the council meetings that we had, there was a real desire to see if we can work with the province on seeing how much of that we can keep for public space as well, so the public can enjoy it for generations to come. But that secondary plan is available on guelph.ca, and you can look at how things are sort of zoned and laid out for all those uses. Shakiba's coming up, and I'm going down, and thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
Big thanks, Cam, Mayor Guthrie, for your reflections and for sharing your vision for the year ahead. We're looking forward to working with the city and other community stakeholders to foster economic prosperity for all in our community. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Charlotte Yates from the University of Guelph, who will be providing today's closing remarks. Dr. Yates began her career at the University of Guelph in 2015 when she was recruited to serve as the university's provost and vice president academic. Since 2020, she has been serving as president and vice chancellor, and I had the pleasure of attending her formal installation into this significant role just this past weekend. Please welcome President Charlotte Yates.
Thank you very much, and I want to say a special thank you to Shakiba for organizing this event. It is wonderful to be back in person. For all of wonderful things we've learned about new technology, old technology of getting together, talking together, and having breakfast together cannot be replaced by a Zoom call. And I want to say thanks to Cam Guthrie for your remarkable remarks, which are so well aligned with where we at the university want to go. The focus on housing first, community, connectivity, health, happiness, and partnerships. So let me start by saying we're committed to working collaboratively with you, with public health, with the chamber and all the businesses to make sure that we continue to make the city of Guelph and this region a great region to live, a great region to work, and of course, a region of growth and vitality. So as Shakiba mentioned, I was just installed as the president of the University of Guelph, ninth president and vice chancellor, and I will say the first woman president. And I will say how humbled I am by taking on this role. And also being part of this incredible community. I've learned over the short years I've been here what a remarkable community is and what that sense of community and commitment means you can get done. You can get done an enormous amount by working collaboratively, and I look forward to working with all of you. When I was installed, I articulated a vision for the University of Guelph, and as my team who is here with me today knows, my job now is, I'm kind of day 4 after the installation, is to start moving that forward. So I look forward to working with you over that. But if we think about the last 2 years, the most critical lesson I think that we've learned is that we cannot underestimate the importance of community in getting through a pandemic. We are deeply committed to the city of Guelph, to the health of its residents, its businesses, and this has been a very tough year, but I think what has helped us survive is that sense of community. And I want to thank local businesses for the innovations of curbside pickup. Now in 2022, we think nothing of curbside pickup. 3 years ago, I think most of us had never even thought about it. The fact that so many of you supported our students with virtual student placements. Our students were struggling, and yet many of you stepped up, so I want to thank you. And of course, I was incredibly proud of the way in which the university community stepped up. You've already mentioned, Mayor Guthrie, the 2 community clinics, vaccination clinics that we ran on our campus. What you may not know is we put a call out for volunteers, really not knowing how many we would get. Within a couple of days, we had 500 volunteers, students, faculty, staff, community members, alumni, eager to help. And I don't know how many of you got your vaccines there, but we would bump into a history student at one point and a vet student at another, and one of our resident staff at another. It was incredible coming together offering those vaccine clinics. We were able to administer over 80,000 vaccinations just in our first clinic. So I think that reflects to you, I hope, how deeply we value our community and the responsibility we have within this community to keeping it safe and vital. So I want to highlight our support for the themes that Mayor Guthrie highlighted: economic and infrastructure development. You have a partner in us, a leadership in environmental sustainability, and a renewed commitment to equity, indigeneity, and diversity. All of these are major priorities for the university, and we will partner with the city and others to make sure that we advance these. And we've already seen, and I just want to share a couple of small examples. Some of you will know these, others may not, about the kind of collaborations that can lead. Small collaborations can grow into big initiatives. Many years ago, a student of the University of Guelph named Carolyn loaded some used coffee grounds from a campus coffee shop onto a wagon. She brought them to the Guelph Center for Urban Organic Farming to create a small compost pile. This small act was the catalyst to a campus-wide shift in thinking about our commitment to the environment and about how we recycle food and waste. Now, the University of Guelph brings over 150 tons of kitchen food scraps to the GCUOF each year. Today, Our Food Future is a like-minded initiative that aims for Guelph and Wellington County to create the country's first circular food economy by 2025. This means better access to affordable, nutritious food and community-wide economic benefits that unlock the value of food waste. The university and broader community also share mutual interest in supporting increased transit infrastructure in our community, as well as strong support for community partners like the United Way. Over the past 2 years, the U of G community, notwithstanding the fact we've been virtual, many of you who've walked on campus, we were like a ghost town. A year ago, looked like a very different place. But behind all of that kind of apparent quiet, our students, our faculty and staff are raising money for the United Way, and we were able to raise nearly $1 million in support of the United Way. And that's a large part of the students on our campus. So I want to say thanks to the students and also the community efforts of our campus community. And of course, we've seen the many ways our students have contributed to the vibrancy. Some of that vibrancy I'm sure many of you find annoying on times like, homecoming. We're not the most popular on that day. But nonetheless, there are so many other ways in which our students contribute to vibrancy in the community by volunteering, supporting local businesses, and also staying here at the university, at the city. We need young talent. Our students are that young talent. And we want to work with you to make sure that they will stay in the city and continue to contribute. So U of G is proud to partner with the city in driving economic and social impact, and we're keen to be a partner in future collective economic recovery. We want our community, you, to see the university as a hub for connection, resources, expertise, and community. And I say that because during the vaccine clinic, and there was a little joke in our community that, as you know, move-in day for us is thousands of young people, all kind of 18, 19, and 20, moving onto campus. So we're used to thousands of young people. When you host a vaccination, you have thousands of older people on our campus. And it was kind of a bit of a shock. And so, chatting with people and saying, wow, I haven't been on campus in years. It's a beautiful campus. Thank you for doing this. But also, for us, it was a chance to say, welcome. We are a hub for the city, and we're deeply committed to that. So I hope you come and visit, enjoy the gardens, but also make connections to us. We're specialists, as you know, in agriculture and veterinary science. But what you may not know is we're building a new kind of theatre. We're specialists in the arts, social sciences, diet, food. All of these are areas in which we can contribute to the community. And I just want to give one small example. In January, the University of Guelph launched a new Foundations in Agricultural Management course. It's an online certificate course where students learn through video, students, and they can be any of us, about business planning, finances, human resources, farm-family transitions, and farmer mental health. Believed to be the first of its kind, it's supported with a $1.25 million donation from the RBC Foundation. These kinds of initiatives are meant to make the university accessible. It's free, the course is, I believe that's right, Renee. Here I am committing Renee to, and it's meant to both support our food economy, but also the fact that Guelph has long been a hub of agriculture, of food production. This is an important part of our city. So supporting its development and its development into the future, just as there's lots of change in each of our lives, there's lots of change in all of our industry, and the university is committed to helping those. So please reach out to us, ask for partnerships, and we're happy to engage with you and also lend you our expertise. So as we conclude today's event, I want to thank all of the sponsors who made today's event possible. Thank you to community sponsors RLB and Bensel Consulting. UG is also proud to join Electric Utilities, CN Rail, and RBC in being an event sponsor. And finally, just as Shakiba introduced this, I would also like to thank our presenting sponsor, Bell. The Guelph Chamber is wonderfully led by Shakiba, and we're very, very lucky to have you at the helm. But also, we would not be able to bring more than 200 business and community leaders together in one room without all of these organizations' support. So as you leave, I encourage you to remember all that we have achieved together over these last 2 years and how we can work together in economic recovery, revitalization, and community health. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to meeting many of you in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you.